Hello and welcome to the Kitchen Conversations podcast. My name is Patrycja Rozwora and I'm the host of this platform where we speak about contemporary art from so-called Eastern Europe. In each episode, you're going to be introduced to one artist or researcher whose visual or activist practice sheds light onto the complex former socialist region with all its histories, cultures, languages, foods, but also traumas and their inevitable contemporary consequences. The podcast is a fully independent platform existing since May 2020. If you enjoy the monthly conversations, you can support me via Patreon or share the episode with your friends or via social channels. And welcome back everyone to another episode of Kitchen Conversations. My today's guest, Mischa Badasyan, is a former Berliner, and this is how we met. We met through his cooking, food activist collective, Political Kitchen, who were part of my book launch, the Kitchen Conversations cookbook that I published last year. That time, Mischa was in Armenia and couldn't join the launch. And in fact, we never met in person, but I was following his work for a long time. I really admire his practice as an artist, as an activist, working a lot with food and various social issues, socio-political topics, a lot as well connected to his home, Armenia. He will introduce himself very thoroughly to you, so I will leave it to him. But without further ado, I wanted to first listen to his artist manifesto, and then you will hear also Mischa's voice and continue to our conversation. Enjoy.
Manifesto of a living artist. I'm not an artist. I don't have a talent. I'm a total mediocrity. I don't know any muses. I never paint. I cannot dance. I cannot sing. I don't know compositions and proportions. I'm far from the theories. I'm afraid of philosophy. I'm ashamed of nature. I can't string two words together. I won't tell clever stories. I won't give a life lesson. I can't change the world. I can't save mankind. I'm far from the stars. I won't know the cosmos. I won't touch the bottom of the ocean. I won't jump out of a parachute. I won't go to the war. All can I do? I love people. I'm inspired by them. I admire them all. I will listen to their bitterness. I will cry when I see them. I will snuggle in the palm of their hand. I bow to the poor. I kiss their hands. I give myself for others. I know no pain. I won't be afraid. I will be always there. I won't laugh out loud. I'm not ashamed of them. I won't bend. I believe in miracles. I believe in destiny. I know them little. I love them all the same. I will be eternal. I will be in heaven. My name is Mischa Badasyan. Before I would say I'm an artist, but now I would like to say I'm a live artist. I don't know, sometimes I'm really afraid of the labels because labels can give you identity, they can help you, they can really move you, they can really give you some structure in your life, but at the same time they kind of really also limit you. So lately I'm afraid of labels, but before I would say I'm a live artist. I'm a food activist, I'm animal activist, and I'm a social worker. So there's a lot of labels that were coming with me, and I'm enjoying them. But at the same time, I feel like it would be so nice just we all be just humans, and then just telling them what we're doing. Sometimes if people say oh, you're an artist, I use the expression, no, I'm not an artist, I just do art projects. That also helped me to avoid the labels. But anyways, I'm Armenian, and maybe it sounds really nationalistic now if I would say, but I'm really proud being Armenian because I'm proud having this identity and proud of changing and doing projects in Armenia for Armenia. So it's not people should understand it's not in a nationalist way that I'm Armenian, that like I would like to wear the flag and fight for Armenia, but it's very important to find your identity and to be this identity, so to speak. I was born and raised in Russia, in Rostov-on-Don. It's in the south part, next to Black Sea, next to Ukraine, in Caucasus. And for the first time, I came across with my identity when I was 17, when I went to Armenian community to study the language, because my family was spoke mixed, like Russian and Armenian. I went to Russian school, Russian university, so my education and socialization is Russian. But when I was 17, I went to the community, and because I have these questions, like, and every time my mom would speak to me Armenian in the bus or public, I would say, no, we have to speak Russian, because there's a lot of big topics of racism. People would say, oh no, there's no, people will love Caucasian, we love Georgian people, we love Armenian people. Like, if you say that publicly, yeah, it's kind of this, but in real life, you face a lot of racism and discrimination. And that's why I was afraid to use Armenian language. And that's why now for me it's important to be Armenian and speak up for Armenia. Because in my childhood and my adult time in Russia, I was afraid of that. Then I moved to Germany when I was 20. I applied for social, it's called like Freiwilliges Soziales Jahr, EWS program, and like social volunteer service program. And I went to Dresden for 4 years. I've been there. I studied social work there. And while being there and telling people I'm from Russia, people said, you're Russian, you're not Armenian. So they kind of were taking away from my identity of being Armenian. And if I jump now into nowadays life, when I say to people I'm from Berlin, they say, you're German. So when I speak Hochdeutsch fluently, so people assume I'm German. They would never guess that I'm Armenian from Russia whatsoever. But anyways, so I studied political science in Russia. I went to university when I was 16, and since I actually am 14 or 15, I've been already politically active. And for me, it was important to be an activist, but I didn't call myself activist. I just, like, I don't know, I would call myself a changer. I felt like if I want to see something different, I have to change it myself. I don't want to wait for someone. So I went to a center for people with autism, for children with autism. I was volunteering there for 3 years. Then I became a vegetarian when I was 17. So I was working with the NGOs for human rights. I went to some workshops in programs to Moscow, different cities. So for me, it was really important to be active. And then I came across with the German programs that Germany invites volunteers from across the world. You can be a volunteer in Germany. And for 2 years, I was looking for this program, and I found it, and I went to Dresden for first year, and then I started social work 3 years. So in total, I spent 4 years in Dresden, and then I moved to Berlin. Yeah, and actually during this time, I also became an artist.
Exactly. I wanted to ask, like, I guess, so in Berlin, you discovered art, and you were like, this could be one of the many things I can do.
Actually, I discovered it a bit earlier in Dresden. I studied social work, but I have different friends, also a lot of artists. And my friend, she told me that the art academy in Dresden, they need models, nude models for students. And she invited me to work there. It was like paid, and I was like, okay, cool. I need money. And it's a beautiful experience to undress yourself. And so I spent working on this academy for 1 year. And it's actually, that's the beginning of all these experiences, of all these artistic practices. When you get naked in front of people, that I felt like, okay, that's kind of therapeutic moment, because being gay in Dresden was a bit difficult. I'm a hairy person, and people were really shaming me for my body, that I'm too little, I'm too fat, I'm too hairy. So I was really having a lot of troubles to meet people. I mean, of course I had dates and I was meeting people, but at the same time, like I never had boyfriends, never relationships. And in Russia, I never came out to anyone. So for me, it was important to be in this freedom. And I expected so much from Dresden. I was like, okay, I will find my boyfriend, I will find my love, I will find everything. And then I came to Dresden, and I was like, oh, wow, the reality is so difficult and so different than I expected. So I faced a lot of body shaming, and I really needed this experience when I was getting naked in front of artists, I was students, and they were drawing me. And it was really beautiful experience of pain also, because every time you would stand for 2.5 hours you would sweat, you would, I don't know, you will get blue feet. It was really exhausting for me every time. And I would say, okay, I would never come again. It's so painful, it's so difficult. But every week they would call me again and ask me again to come. And I was really like a junkie. Like I was, okay, I need this. And while standing naked in front of people, I started recording my experiences. I was writing like a small diary of my body changes, like how I feel. And actually I discovered in the end that I'm the artist, because I'm giving my love, I'm giving my body, I sweat for them. And every time the professor would walk between the students, they would draw me and he will comment on my body, about my muscles. And I felt like my body is growing, my identity is growing. And in the end, I said, like, I'm the artist. And that was the moment when I created this body of pain and how to overcome the pain. And of course, I was inspired by Marina Abramovic, the classic example.
I was just thinking that was one of your models.
Yeah, but I never knew about performance art. I never knew what art is. To be honest, I mean, of course, I knew some names like, I don't know, Dali, whatever, Picasso. That's what you study in the school. But then I went visiting doctor and I sat in the room and I opened the Spiegel magazine. And there was an article about the artist is present. And she described exactly the same what I was going through, how pain is important in art, what does it mean body, naked body, and how to overcome the pain and how to embrace the pain. I was like, wow, what she's describing, it's me. And she calls performance artist, I'm performance artist.
I really like that you kind of by yourself understood that you are an artist or you want to make art. You didn't need like an art institution to tell you that. I think that's like a big discussion of like, why do we actually need art schools? And some people say because there's like other artists who kind of direct you in that way and let you find your art and your expression. And it's, super beautiful, your story, to hear that you actually did it yourself by your environment. And that actually, maybe we don't need art schools to become artists. And maybe everyone can become an artist if they kind of have the feeling for it.
It's actually just energy inside of you, like the drive, like what exactly you want, what exactly it's needed in this moment, like what your body says, what your mind says, what the surrounding says. For me, that moment was important to be in front of people, to use my body, to change my body, and actually, it's also was empowerment for me because I don't have any talents. Like, I cannot dance. I cannot, create beautiful paintings. And I'm proud of it. I'm always say like, it's amazing that you don't have any talents, and then you can discover your own. You can create something. Actually, that's the space and the place where you can discover your own talents. That you don't have to be this conventional, artist that's okay. I can beautifully draw this and this. Like, you don't have to jump into this. Movements, even though I like some of the movements. I'm really big fan of abstract art, but in the end, if you grow and you read more books and you discover how the art world works, all these movements, all these names actually created by the critics, not by the artists. Like, so someone is making them to sell it, to present it, and actually that makes me more angry. And after I started doing performances or projects 2011, now 2023. So after 12 years of doing art and projects, I discovered actually that I'm really skeptical about art system. I'm really skeptical about art. And actually, if you call yourself artist, it's kind of, having like a big flag in your hand. You have to be really responsible what you say, what you do. And being an artist is not just being cute in front of the public or sell your painting or sell your, whatever text or your books. Being an artist is like a big statement. It's it's a huge responsibility. How you see the world, how you change the world. In the beginning, I would say I was doing stuff not really in honest way, or I was just doing stuff just to do stuff, to connect with people. I mean, it's okay. I don't mean like, oh, we have to be always like 100%, fair and honest and this and that. I mean, we still live in society. We still have to, navigate in a society, in the art world. We have to still meet the curators. We still have to go to galleries. We still have to do these meetings. So I understand that it's difficult to live in society and be completely like honest and completely, authentic. But I think it's the biggest goal for the artist, like to stay authentic and to stick to your concept. That's why after doing so many years of art projects, I decided to find a job and have my own money and to be independent. That's really important for me. I'm a social worker since 9 years. I studied social work, so it gave me opportunity to find a cool job and to have like a good salary. And I've been working with refugees in Berlin, in the shelters in 2015-16 when the Syrian wave came first. I was in Tempelhof and taking care of thousands of refugees. Then I started working, I used to work with the young refugees. Then I used to work 3 years for queer, only LGBT refugees. It used to be the first LGBT shelter in the whole Europe. Now we have more of that in Europe. Then I moved to another shelter, and in the end, I got a job in Zurich, and I moved to Zurich to also work with refugees.
Exactly. So I wanted to now speak more specifically about your project so people can get an idea what you're busy with. And there's, as you said, there was some projects that were more broadly covered by media, especially your long duration performances. From what I know, you did 2 of those where you devoted your whole year to a single project where you performed something once a day. Of course, it's a very specific type of art and performance which thrives on like this repetition and on like building up for 365 days.
Actually, I did 6 of them. It's not only 2.
6 of them. Okay, all right.
Yeah, because
so 6
when I started
years.
doing this,
1 year
exactly.
per. Crazy. Okay, I only know about 2. So please.
Yeah, because long duration performances is it's not my type of art. I mean, I didn't discover that. I also got inspired by Taiwanese artists, Teichin Scene, and by some other artists who spend their life and like doing art. And I really like this. First, what I like about this, it's the amount of time. Like 1 year, it's really like you can feel the life. Like it's really, it takes really one part of your life out, or basically you change your life. And that's really for me beautiful, this mix, like when the life ends, when the art starts, when this art starts, when the life ends. It's difficult, and you have to be ready for that. When I start first ones, they're not on the news. I mean, people know about them, but it's not like so big because there were some video recording performances or photo or just diaries and stuff. But when I was doing like this, the 2 big projects that you mentioned, they were more public because I was in touch with people. So it was not only about me and recording or writing about myself.
Gesture of every day.
But Save the Date, that's the name of the biggest project so far. Actually, I still, I mean, now we're talking about this, but even every time people remember me by this project, and I mean, it's nice to have like kind of, the golden memory that people always know and will remember me. But still, like I wish to do something more that people.
You don't want to be remembered only by that, I guess.
Exactly,
right?
Like
because it's also a very specific project, I would say. Very like, I guess also that's why it's out there, because it speaks about all the things that are kind of taboo. And
Save the Date, that's a project about my loneliness, but actually about loneliness in the gay community itself. My idea was to create a living installation, like that my body will create this installation of loneliness, because being in the gay community in Berlin, having a lot of sex, meeting people, going to cruising areas, made me lonely, made me sad, made me, I would say, depressed. And I want to share this. And actually I was like, maybe like I'm not the only one. And I wanted to share these emotions. And I decided what basically actually gay people do, as they told me in Berlin, like, okay, just let's have fun and meet people and share my body with someone else every day with a stranger. So my goal was to meet 365 days in a row, every day someone new. I'm not allowed to meet a second time the same person. And actually in the beginning, my plan was to make a nice date. Not only like sex date, but also meet people, spend some time and really be honest with someone. But since it's live and since it's like a reality, you cannot really navigate. You cannot really like give the direction by yourself. Like really, it's about
it's life,
how
right?
People react to you. Like so, that's why I actually like this performance arts, because you, as a real artist, you have to really be ready for everything, and mistakes are part of it. Or actually, mistake is the most beautiful part of doing art. In the beginning, I was not telling people that it's an art project. I'm just meeting them because I like them. I want to meet them. But after 1 month, of course, all news were about this project. Everyone knew me. So I was not safe even in dark rooms in the clubs, because they would say, you're the artist who does this project. And then I got actually requests to meet me. There were some people that traveling to Berlin to meet me. One guy from LA, he was an art student and he did a dance piece based on my project. And he came to Berlin to visit me or to have a date with me.
Crazy.
Some other artists from Berlin. This is really the biggest and the hardest piece I have done, because I didn't know that it would be so hard mentally. I mean, physically I was really stable, and I never had STIs in my life, and I was really safe. But mentally, it was really hardcore, and there were a lot of topics like also violence and conversation. Because when I was approaching people online, actually I stopped writing people online after 3 months, because it took me 5 till 6 hours to find a date every day. And I had a job. I was studying in the beginning of this project. And the end of the project, I was just working, so like I had to navigate my life. And
so stressful, right? That it's a project, so you have to do it once a day, right? So you have to find another person to go out to it.
Yeah, every time, like time wise, and also like logistics. It's one part, but also mentally, because people would say. Also, I faced a lot of hate speech. Actually, I was really surprised that the gay community was divided. Half of them were admiring me and supporting me because they felt the same way. Half of them were hating me, saying like, what the fuck is this? Like, how dare you speak about, it's homophobic to say that the gay people are lonely. It's a cliche. But I'm sorry, I'm not a cliche. I'm a real person. I'm not going through this. So why I'm not allowed to speak about my emotions, my feelings? So there were a lot of topics, and I was writing a blog. I was working with some projects and communities. I was speaking about like having sex with people with HIV, having sex with trans people. So I used actually this project to make more political discussions. And it was always like a boom. It was really like every interview was another flame of hate or support. I got support from so many women. I was really surprised, because I made one blog and one topic I opened up about crying while having sex. I discovered, for me, it was really a huge discovery that people cried during the sex. I was crying during the sex, and I made a blog and about this issue. And I was surprised that gay people never faced that and never had it. But the woman, the opposite. So I got so many letters from New Zealand, from Australia, from Europe. Like also some guys wrote me also messages. Like guy from St. Petersburg wrote me a message like, "Thank you so much for sharing this topic because I feel so lonely. I got recently HIV and I don't know how to speak to. Like once I read about you and your project, I felt like okay, you can help me." So it was really like I don't know. I felt like this year it was like 10 years of my life compressed in one.
It's wonderful to hear how much you like. I feel that it was a lot like this project, and then you discovered so much about yourself and as an artist, and that it brought you farther. There's so much we could cover, but I have a lot on my list. So if you could now do like a quite a radical jump to a very different project, the second long duration performance that was also big and quite in the public. So out of the 6 you did, the second one, Don't Waste.
Exactly. It's my last long duration performance piece that I'm also happy about. And actually, it was also news. I was also on Arte and different media, but actually it get less support and less covered. And I was
because it wasn't about sex,
interesting.
Right? That's the thing.
Exactly. I was like,
sex
interesting.
Sells.
I was like, what the fuck? Like the climate change, there's a lot of hunger, people dying every day because they don't have anything to eat. And I was like, why don't we speak about this? Yeah, Don't Waste is kind of also my expression of what I just mentioned, like that there's a lot of stuff to change. But also because since 9 years I'm volunteer for a food sharing project. For people who don't know this initiative, it's really amazing idea that we have to save food that supermarkets, cafes, restaurants, bakeries throw just every day. Tons of that in a bin, in rubbish bin, and got wasted. I came across with this project by my friend. He just shared a Facebook link that someone mentioned, hey, we have so much bread, just pick it up. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's so much waste. Like, okay, we can have free food. I was a student. So I was like, cool, nice. I can also save money. And then I became really active. And by now, there's a statistic on the website. If you have a profile, you can see how much food you saved and what you do, where you go. And you can meet also communities, some people, there's some forums. So on my account now, on the page officially, I saved over like 16 or 17 tons of food. Only me as a person, one person.
So again, every day you performed?
Exactly. Me as a Mischa Badasyan, I will stop buying food by September 2021 till September 2022. So I was not allowed to go to the restaurants, cafes. I was not allowed to do anything. Apart, of course, if some of my friends cook at home and invite me, or someone invites me, there were some exceptions, of course. When I go to someone, I mean, that's difficult. And that's a topic that also became for me then crystallized and also interesting, like that food is actually the biggest ritual in our life, like how food connects us, that food is the biggest, actually it's even more universal than English, like it's the biggest language in the world.
Indeed.
That we can talk to each other just by eating with each other.
That's why my podcast is also called Kitchen Conversations.
So we can all talk to each other without even any obstacles. And so Don't Waste became also political. I had also a job, so basically after my job I have to save the food, and it was always a lot of food, and I started using it also as an opportunity to give a workshop, to make lectures. I had my collective political kitchen, so we worked together all the time, and all the food I was saving I was giving to the shelters for homeless people, I was giving to refugees, I was giving to neighbors. Also I discovered that many of my friends, it was post-corona times, that many of my friends don't have even food, they don't have even enough money to survive. I was like shocked, like it's Berlin, like, and what's going on? But so many people approached me and said, hey Mischa, can you help me please? So basically I was feeding my friends, and also every time I would go to save food, I will ask friends to help me. So it was kind of even collective work. So someone will join me and then bring food. A friend of mine, Jennifer, she would cover my Saturdays, saving, we called like Saturdays trips. Like she took a car and we went to 5-6 different places to save food and then distribute this food. So it was a really, really, for me, difficult, a really also time-consuming project. I would say actually time-wise and logistic-wise, it's even more difficult than Save the Date. I had also then back pain, and it was really hard.
From carrying all the things, course, right?
Yeah, for caring, but also logistics. You have to really talk to people who is coming, who is picking up the food, who is going there, who is going there. So it was really a lot of communication. But at the same time, I was really happy because I always call food sharing as the best drug. Like it's the best option, portion of dopamine. Like every time if you give food to people, I see happy faces. I see that someone is not starving, literally not starving. I don't even exaggerate. Then I was like, okay, I'm the most happy person on this planet.
I guess once like someone reads about your project and the whole idea of it, that you won't buy stuff, you will just collect. The first worry is like, will you find enough food, right? But then from what you say, you had so much, you had an abundance of food that you actually like gave it to others because there's so much food that is being otherwise wasted.
I had the troubles to give it away, to find quickly someone
So
to
that was
give it
too
away.
much. You almost had to look for people who could. And this is such an irony, because there is so much people who do not have food, as you say, and are starving. And
sometimes, people feel or think, okay, it's a topic, but we have enough topics. We have too many topics to speak about. But for me, it's actually, we have to change this perception of food. That is not, if we speak about food appreciation, that's it's something simple that everyone can do. That's what my projects wanted to achieve, to tell people, hey, it's not so difficult to be an activist. It's not so difficult to save the planet. It's not so difficult to change your life. I wrote a fridge manifesto. It's about how you can become a food activist just by cleaning your fridge. At my work office, I always did the clean up Fridays. We're not allowed to leave the office before the whole fridge is empty. And it's so simple. It's not so difficult, but we don't really get that food waste. It's a huge topic. It's worse than flying. It's worse than fashion. It's worse than anything else. It's a really huge topic. And since we are so privileged, and since we are living in in a capitalist society, since we have this surplus, people don't even get that we can really be short on money, short on food. And actually that food that, you have to produce one pumpkin, and it's not like you can just throw it away, because it's like water. There's so much energy. There's so much people's hands inside of that. And I'm still fighting for that. I'm doing food sharing also in Zurich, and still support food sharing. I still like to inspire other people. My colleague at work also started doing food sharing, so I'm trying to spread this community. Also trying to build my sector, so super, to speak, here. And
exactly, super important. And as you say, in small gestures, you can do so much. I hope people will take from it that let's look inside our fridges and not waste stuff there. I think it's a first step.
It applies also to different topics. Not only if someone interested in different topics, also you shouldn't change the world to, because I notice people feel so depressed and sad because they cannot change the world. They cannot change the leaders. They cannot change the political systems, but you can change yourself. You can change. I know it sounds really maybe too easy or too simple, but at the same time, there's nothing else. There's no other ways. That's the whole.
Start small, indeed.
That's the whole knowledge that we have. You can change something from yourself and then inspire other people, then small other people, and that's it. There's no other way around. You cannot go for a revolution. You cannot go tomorrow to Bundestag and change the whole parties there.
I believe in that as well. Food is part of your art, not only in this long duration performance, but it's still coming back. And maybe through that we can do a little link back to Armenia and the political situation there. Quite recently, you did another performance using your body and bread in Zurich. So that was, I think, one of your first...
My first, yes.
Projects in your new home. Stop the Blockade.
Open the Road, yes. That was the title of the performance. To be honest, it took me some time to make any art piece in Switzerland. My approach is always to first see and feel the context, meet artists, to understand how is it going, what exactly the art system is there, how the people think, what's the topic in the society. But when the whole situation happened in Armenia, then I felt like I have to do something. That's actually also part of being an artist. I don't know how the other artists get inspired and how the other artists react to reality, but that's my always approach. As an artist, it's not enough to make a story on Instagram. It's not enough to make a post on Facebook. It's not enough to blame others. It's not enough to cry. The right decision for me and as an artist to go out. And so, since I do food sharing, I have access to food. And people in Artsakh and Nagorno-Karabakh, they were under the blockade since 9 months. There was shortage on food, any supplies. There was hunger, and I felt how I can make this expression not banal, not too placative and too simple, but at the same time strong. And I felt okay, maybe I have to put myself in a cage. Maybe I have to put the cage with the bread. So there were some ideas first in my mind, and then I felt okay, but they have to understand if I just put the bread in a cage, that like, yeah, it's nice installation, but it's not so strong. And then I decided, okay, fuck it. I just put myself in and I cover myself with the bread and would make the installation. I was studying it was Helvetiaplatz. It's a quite famous square here. A lot of manifestations, a lot of demonstrations and actions happening there. So now that was easy for me to find this spot. And so I went there. I was collecting food for 3 days, bread. And I didn't do any kind of rehearsals. We just made this net at home with my friends, and I went there and I just did as it went. I put bread all the way inside, and I was standing for 1.5 hours. And actually it was hard for me to stay because all the bread was pressing down on my feet. So it was really difficult to stay and also to find a stability. And it was really beautiful performance. First, because like it's my first performance piece in Switzerland. I didn't know how to talk to Swiss public, and it was nice for me to discover this moment. But second, also to see the beauty, how art can speak to the public. It's always and always, and for me, it's amazing and beautiful. When they saw the sign of mine and this beautiful installation, first they were confused and they were like really curious because it looks beautiful, looks outstanding for them, and they approached me and they were talking to me. So basically I became like kind of speaking speaking TV or speaking radio to people. They were asking, where's Armenia? Like, what's Karabakh? What's the conflict? And in the beginning I was really pissed. It was all like, fuck it, like, don't you read the news? Like, why don't you know Armenia? I was really angry. But at the same time I was like, okay, but why they should know that? I mean, there's so many conflicts in this world. There's so many fights. There's so many wars and so many people dying every day. We always forget about Sudan. We forget about Yemen. We forget about Congo. There's so many stuff. So
that it's not in the media doesn't mean it doesn't happen, right? And similar, I guess, to Armenia. Yeah. It was in September 2023. A few months ago, it was for a few weeks in the media, and then. Then we don't hear anymore about
Palestine. Yeah, and then Palestine, Israel, exactly, a new story. So and then I put myself together and I was like, okay, Mischa, like, it's fine. People don't know it. Then it's your task to explain. And I had really nice conversations. There were a nice big family from Eritrea. They were also refugees. There was 2 guys, like father and I think uncle, or the brother of him, and then 3 children. And the father told them, go and read the story. And then they read the text and they talked to me like, they said, you have to know this story because like you were also refugees, we also escaped. And I was like, wow, that's most beautiful. And then one of the ladies, she came to me, because the text, the sign was on my face, kind of covered my face. And she read the story, she read the text, she came to me, she touched me from, I don't know, from the other side, I don't know how, but I felt the touch. She touched me and she just went away. I was like, that's the most beautiful gesture of support and love. Like that she read this, she understood, and she gave me support. Like, and that's why I really love art. That's why I always get emotional. That's why I always will continue doing this, because that's the most beautiful tool to speak to sorrow, to feel the pain. Like art, I think it's beautiful. I don't know, instrument how you can, express yourself. I always feel like when I did some other performances and art pieces about Armenia or Armenian topics, and I always find important not just to share photos of blood and crying children, but just do art project and then to achieve this level of quality. The photo of the bread installation was all over the news also, and on Armenian TV even. I didn't even know that. They asked me also for interviews, but I didn't know like who is this. I was really confused, like what's going on. So
how
there was
quick
like thousands of shares.
Spreads, right? Like the visual. I mean, the visual of you standing there wrapped in bread is very, very iconic, I would say. So I think that worked well with this like time we are that right now, that images just like catch on to us so quickly. Can you just tell why did you decide to use bread, like I would say the simplest food, to speak about the conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh?
I used to work with bread a lot, and with Political Kitchen we did some installations and workshops about bread. We were speaking also when we did workshops with children or young people or with anyone. we were always using bread as a really the most simple, as you mentioned, but at the same time the most universal product. Or I cannot even call it product, because for me bread is something, I don't know, it's something that gives you life.
Yeah,
it's kind
maybe
of
like a
life.
nourishing substance.
Yeah, because exactly, and then bread is also, it's in all cultures. You can find the bread in all cities, in all countries. You can, I mean, they have different forms, different ingredients, but at the same time, bread is what people keep alive. And so basically, that was for me important also to keep it alive, to give a sign like it's a sign of life. To be honest, like so, and also in Nagorno-Karabakh, there was also really a shortage of bread. So basically, people didn't have the bread. So it was literally also about this conflict and about the situation.
Can you tell a little bit from what your media channels? Because as we just said, like unfortunately, it's not anymore in the global news. What is happening at the moment in this region, and what's the situation at the moment?
Nowadays, there's a lot of meetings between Armenia, Azerbaijan, and some mediators, as Europe, Russia, United States, sometimes Turkey. We're trying to make a peace agreement that we were trying to do for the last 30 years. I'm actually, to be honest, I'm very happy that we can find a peace. I'm always for the peace and always for dialogue, because the wars and all these conflicts that don't help anyone. It just gives us traumas, a lot of depression, a lot of lost children,
Death, yeah.
and a lot of death. It's really difficult, and you cannot keep up with it. So like it's so tiring. It's really annoying, and also for art and culture, you cannot then create art that not speak about this. That's actually interesting. Like how the artists then, I mean, within Armenia or maybe also Azerbaijan, you cannot do anything else but not speaking about this topic. And I don't want also that art will be led by these conflicts. I don't want the art kind of affects by that. I mean, of course it should be, but I wish that the art can be also free of that kind of. But anyways, Artsakh now is without Armenians, so the Armenian population that used to live there for 3,000 years now left. Over 100,000 people left. I also met some people in Yerevan when I was there. There's a lot of support and help, but I feel it's kind of not enough, and I feel like also we became kind of victim of this geopolitics games that now Armenia not important for anyone. It's really like funny even like to understand like how the politics works. Like I was like, really, like that's what you need, like to fight for human rights, to fight for life, for peace, like that you need some certain amount of oil and gas. Then you're important. Then you, I mean, of course, I understand. My rational brain understand this. Like, and I know this. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have anything, then you're not important for the world. It's clear, and you don't have to be even like pathetic
you mean
about this.
In terms of resources or?
Yeah. But at the same time, like I feel like still disgust, like how the politics, how all this surroundings like works, and I really feel like I don't want to be part of that. To be honest, like I mean, not only, but because of that, I feel always really connected to my animal activism. Since 2 years, I became really active and became a real animal activist. So I went now to Armenia, actually second time in this year, to sign the contract for buying a land for my animal shelter. We found a beautiful piece of land next to Ararat mountain. It's a really beautiful and very important mountain for all Armenians in the world. And it's a land that has also apricot trees and some other trees. So we would have nice garden. We have nice piece of land, almost 1 hectare, to build up our animal shelter. And actually, we're trying to make something different. Since I'm an artist, I would like to make art residency there, and people can visit us, stay with us, do some art, and take care of animals. So it's kind of animal art residency.
I think it's a nice place to round up our conversation. But last and definitely not least, I wanted to speak about food. We spoke a lot about food today, but Kitchen Conversations is always finalized by speaking about favorite food from home. So like a dish or like a like a food that you like making when you're a little bit under the weather or sad or just need some care from home? Wherever home is for you also.
When, to be honest, when I always go to Armenia, I kind of like become a food junkie. I feel like that's so tasty. I want to eat everything. And I discovered a beautiful food court called Sas, also in the city center. And usually if you say food court, you feel like, okay, what is this? It's just like junk food or kind of like fast food. But actually in that food court, or in general in Armenia, all food places, it's so tasty and the quality of food is amazing. So basically in that food court, I go to the section of homemade food and I find like all the stuff that my mom used to do, or all Armenian dishes, like with this different herbs that I don't even know. Like you also mentioned in the questionnaire about aveluk. It's a very beautiful and tasty herbs from the mountains.
Yeah.
And if you can make a salad of it, you can fry them with eggs. You can do soups with this. And I was like, oh my God, Armenia has so much. And it's a little country. There's not so much space, but actually there's so much food you can discover. And then actually, so I really run always for the homey food. I like soups. I really miss soups. In Russia, in Armenia, we used always to eat like first soup and then second dish. And we don't have this in Europe so much.
Yeah, totally. In Poland, we always eat like soup first and then the second course.
Oh my God.
It's such I love soups. They make you so like warm and so cozy.
Exactly. And you feel like, okay, it's healthy. It's give you nutrition. You feel like, okay, I did something good for my body. So I really love soups, and I don't know why I don't do soups here. I don't know. Europe kind of killed all these skills of mine or emotions to make soups. But when I go home or I go to Armenia or go to places that kind of soup-friendly places, always I eat soups. Every time I go anywhere, I eat soups.
Like veggie so nice. Soups, right? Veggie soups.
Veggie soups, bean soups. In Armenia, we have a yogurt soup called spas. That's also really like it's vegetarian. Nice soup. It's like by default vegetarian. It's not specific meat. And also I love a lot. My favorite food in Armenia is Jingle of hot. It's actually a dish from Karabakh. Nagorno. It's very famous. We have refugees from Karabakh that came to Armenia, opened a lot of restaurants and places now. It's actually if you can compare it to maybe like gözleme, Turkish one, kind of similar, but it's only herbs, like 7 different herbs from mountains should be mixed inside of this. Like, so it's kind of pita bread, like covered one, and just green stuff inside.
And
so
then
it's
like
most vegan food.
Fried.
Yeah, fried, warm made.
Warmed after.
And it's most healthy one because it's not fat. It's most vegan one because it's just herbs and bread. So I find like that's a universal dish that everyone can eat without even like, I don't know, any troubles to ask or whatever.
Amazing. Sounds delicious.
And you should come to Armenia, please. We bought this piece of land and we want to make a community space and open animal shelter and art residences. And my goal is also made a presentation called Animal Trips to Armenia. I would love to bring people to Armenia, to my shelter, that people can stay there, chill there, and discover beautiful places, but also volunteer for animals.
Definitely, yeah. I would love to visit, and I will, of course, link all your projects. I think you're the most active on Instagram. You're like very thorough with like reporting on all your activities and projects. I think that's the best overview of your work, so people can kind of follow what you do, and also all the projects that we didn't cover today. Of course, there's so much more people can check out, and write you. I think you're super accessible and easy to communicate with, right? Thank you so much, Mischa, for the conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, maybe we see each other one day live in Berlin.
Yes, let's do it. Very cool.
And this was it for today. Thank you for reaching till the end of this podcast episode. The next one is coming in 4 weeks, always on Monday. Please follow the podcast and leave a rating if you're listening on Spotify. There is 2 ways you can support the further development. of this platform, number one, is to buy the Kitchen Conversations cookbook, homey recipes from artists that features home dishes from the first 17 guests who appeared on the podcast. And number two is to become a patron of Kitchen Conversations and support this platform with an amount of your choice that starts with $2.50 per month. More info you can find on patreon.com/kitchenconversations. In the meantime, take good care and we hear each other soon.